my goodness. Welcome everybody to the call. I think I have the girls pinned, but my name is Desiree. So this is the Inspire Group bi-weekly call, or we only have this twice a month. So I'm very, very honored to be able to host this call. And today we're going to be going over a couple like super special things going on. So we have Mckyah and Cierra, who are brand new or newish, like a few months in. They're fairly young. And so today they're really just going to share some tips on consistency, their struggles as new agents and young entrepreneurs, young business owners. And prior to that, I would just want to say I really appreciate everyone hopping on and giving us this precious hour of time. So I would say grab your notepads out, turn your cameras on if you can. If you are not, let me remove this so I could look at people. I like looking at people. Turn on your camera if you can. I like to see people and being engaged. Please drop a 1 in the chat if you're super excited to hear from Cierra and Mckyah tonight. Again, young, I think they're 22. Prior baristas, college dropouts. They're going to share everything that they've struggled with to get onto this journey of becoming a life insurance agent. Before that, I will be going over a few announcements. So please take some time to send your messages out, invite everybody to this call. This is for everybody, people in coursework, people even just thinking about the life insurance industry in general. For seasoned agents, veteran agents, I do think that, and I took this from Dom. So Dom, if you're on here, but if you aren't willing to learn, you already lost. This industry, we're learning every single day. So I don't care if you've written 30, 40, 50 policies a month or 0 and you're brand new and you're studying. I do really think that, again, knowledge is power or potential power. And so today we're really going to take some practical tips that these young entrepreneurs are going to be sharing with you today. And also, if you've been on every single training call, I do think it's super important. So either you need the meeting or the meeting needs you. So even though they are only, they've written several policies and they've struggled through young things. And again, they're young. So you're going to learn a lot of tips from them. Again, Cierra and Mckyah, I want you guys to just give a background. How did you find insurance? What led you to insurance? What were you doing prior? Just give us a little background of what brought you here.
Well, as some of you guys know, I'm Desiree's little sister. So, Desi being the shark that she is, she's been trying to recruit me for a while. And I just really did not want to do this. I wasn't in it. I was a barista and I was in college and I was like, nope, I really don't want to do this. Like, stop trying to sell me. Like, that's literally what I told her. But then after a little bit, I was like, sure, okay, like I'll do it. But I didn't really like know why I wanted to do it. I was just like, sure. So then I took my test and I failed a couple of times actually. And after I failed, I kind of like disappeared and I was like, I just like disappeared. And Desi didn't check on me. I was like, she does not care about me. She doesn't care if I fail. And like, I took it like to heart. I was like, that's my sister and she doesn't care. But like now being in the business, I understand that like, I can't take things like this personal. She's going to give her energy to who actually wants to be here. So after a while, after I got like, I was just really annoyed with being a barista and going to college. I just couldn't handle the schedule. I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. And I talked to her about it. And it was actually around the same time that the Dallas convention started earlier this year. And so she like flew me out there, took care of me. And I was like, okay, if I like it, I'll do this thing. If I don't ever talk to me about this business again. She was like, okay, like I'll fly you out. I went, I saw Sean Mike, I saw Marissa, I saw some amazing speakers. And like literally after being there, I was like, no, I'm doing this. I got home, took my test, and I started writing the next month. And I've just been going ever since. So that's just why I got interested in how Desi kind of changed my life.
And really quick, Cece, how many times did you fail? It's okay. Be honest. Everyone's here for the honesty. And this is part of like the first trial of being an agent is like, we're trying to see who can pass the test when they say they're going to pass the test, who's going to quit when they fail. And there's been a number of people who failed and they're killing it at a high level. So I just want other people who are also here brand new to really understand like, hey, it's okay to fail 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times, but go ahead.
Okay. So I failed, I think like 3 times the first time. And then the second time I tried it, like after disappearing, I failed once and then I passed it, I think like the 4th or 5th time.
Yeah.
So
and now look at you. You're on the team call. You're going to share some things that you've learned. But I think that's super key, guys. Like that's like your first test. Can you take the test at like and then pass it? And if you fail, can you go retake it again? So thank you for sharing that, Cece and Kaya. Go ahead and give us a little background of like your story and what kind of led you to here.
Yeah, honestly, so just like Cece, it was pretty much Desi that got me into this. She also tried to recruit me about 3 years ago. But I was really complacent at my job. I worked as a barista also, and the tips were really good. I didn't want to do it. I was a full-time student. And then I guess what really like sparked it was when Desi flew out a bunch of our family actually. Oh, Desi's actually my cousin too, for those of you that don't know. But Desi flew out a bunch of my family to the convention, and I have all of them on Find My Friends. So I was tracking them the entire time. There's like six of them all in the same area, and I had a lot of FOMO, and I was watching them all get excited about how they're going to build this family business and how they're all going to do this together. And I've seen all of the awards that he's gotten, and that's where I was like, okay, I have to do this too. I want to be a part of my family, and I want to be able to be where Desi is at too. So I was a full-time student. I was working in Brisa for like 5 years, I think. I was a straight A student. I believe it wasn't until my last quarter of college where I started flunking everything. I was failing all my classes. I think I retook my last quarter maybe twice. Well, three times. The third time, I just completely dropped out in the middle of the quarter, and I had no idea what was happening. I was lost. I changed my degree 3 times, maybe. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Um, and then I ended up going to see a therapist. To be honest, I was really depressed. I had no idea what I was doing. I hated my job. I hated having to miss family events, be with my friends. And then I went and saw a therapist, and she told me that I was scared. She said, honestly, you're probably failing because you're scared. You have no idea what's going to come next. You've been a student, you've been working your entire life, and you just don't know what's going to happen. And she thought that was the biggest reason. And so around that time is when I saw my whole family, and I wanted to be a part of something that was more than just me. And I was spending thousands of dollars on a degree. I had no idea what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So then I ended up joining the business, and then I am here.
That's key. And thank you guys for being so vulnerable and open. And I told them, because obviously they're a little bit nervous being on the call, but we just want like something super conversational. People want to see the real you. Like, what were your struggles? And this might relate to some people and it might not, but there's gonna be some parts that relate to everybody. But I also think like you two going to college shows like a testament, and also just like failing out of college, or not even failing out of college, or dropping out. I was a college dropout myself because I didn't know what I wanted to do. I have like 2 associate's degrees. Like that's barely, I can't do anything with those degrees, right? I got into nursing school. I didn't want to do it. So that's normal for a lot of the people out here, whether you went to school and you dropped out, or maybe you got a degree. Shout out to you for pushing through that. I think Digna has like 5 degrees, which is cool to see her. Like she didn't even have to use her degree to get here, which is awesome. So, cool. Any like initial, I guess, fears or doubts that you had to overcome in the beginning as far as like, just transitioning to a brand new career?
Yeah, I think honestly, talking to people on the phone was one of the biggest ones. Before we started, Desi was super realistic with us. She's like, you're gonna get yelled at. People are gonna tell you to screw off. What are you gonna do about it? And honestly, in the beginning, I was like, oh well, I worked at a coffee shop. I got yelled at all the time. And I was like, I'll be fine. There's no problem. But actually picking up the phone the first day was way harder than I thought. And people said the craziest things to me that I never thought I would hear a stranger say to me. But honestly, I just had to keep doing it. But actually getting on the phone and dialing was probably my biggest one for me.
Yeah, I would say like, and to add on to that, like getting on the phones, but getting on the phone and staying on the phone, like the rejection that we received, like, yeah, Desi said, you're going to get yelled at, you're going to hear a lot of no's, but like actually going through it, it was crazy. Like, I'm not used to rejection like that. I was not like, she tried to prepare me, but you can't be prepared for something like this. You have to go through the reps. And it was just a slap in the face. Like, I remember my first day, I drove home crying, and I actually called Kaya, and I was crying to her driving home. And I was like, I don't know how Desi does this. I can't do it. Somebody told me to die. Like, I can't be here.
I think I almost didn't even join after she called me, like a week in a row crying.
Yeah, I was like, wait, sorry, don't listen to me. Like, come on. But like, I had to overcome it by just like keep going, like just being persistent, being consistent about it, and just like reminding myself why I'm here in the first place. I don't want to go back to college. I don't want to go back to serving people's coffee. Like, I want to be my own boss. And sometimes Desi tells me what to do, but like I want to tell myself what to do. So I'm like, I just stuck with it and I kept going. So yeah,
that's huge. And another thing too, and like biggest tip for people, if you want to write this down or whatever, but I do think that the way that you look at rejection, your relationship with rejection, the moment you get into sales, and honestly, life insurance is not really sales to me, because I think it's like, this is like a really, really important financial product for families. But being in any type of sales, that's why sales is the highest paid commission or the highest paid occupation in America because there is no ceiling, there's no cap, but it comes at a price. You will get rejected left and right. People will tell you to screw off and you just have to get back up again. So your relationship with rejection is going to change. Just know that you could be the top salesperson, like that salesperson who's the top salesperson just gets rejected than the person who's at the lowest of the leaderboard. So you have to pick, right? Successful people get rejected over and over and over again more than unsuccessful people. So learn to develop a different relationship with rejection. Embrace it. Like that's what I tell them. Hey, I love when people yell at me sometimes. It's like a game to me. I'm like, let's go. What else are you gonna say? Boom. And that's why I love leads. I'm like a lead junkie. If someone says they're not interested 5 different times or yells at me, I just, okay, move on to the next. I just want people who are sincerely interested in this product for their family. I don't want to convince you to get life insurance. So I think that was the hardest thing, was for them to just kind of like, get on the phones. But guess what, guys? That's all we do. That is literally all we do. You could be doing a physically laborious job, pumping septic tanks, getting on a roof, working in the snow, whatever it is, but you're at home or you're at the office and you're on the phone. Someone's going to tell you to screw off and it's just a phone call. It stings a little bit, but at least it's not in person to your face, right? At least no one's like punching you in the face. So it feels a little bit, but just know, hey, I'm going to roll with the punches. I have to embrace rejection. Successful people get rejected more than unsuccessful people. You just have to like change the frame of what you're thinking. Now, I mean, to start off, because I know I've seen you guys, we all are in the Tacoma office, so I get to see when they come in and when they leave, right? And so one of the biggest things, which I think you could probably teach other people, was like, what daily habits or routines have helped you stay consistent to continue to like, to hit your goals. And I know some of these things you struggle with. So we're just showing people you're human, but the fact that you're on this call shows that you've pushed through just a little bit more than most people.
Yeah, I would say at first, like coming into the office at a decent time, it was really hard for me. I used to like go to the gym every morning, and Desi used to go to the gym every morning too, but she had to make some sacrifices and she would show up early. And I was like, no way I'm doing that. Like, I'm not going to sacrifice doing that, Desiree. Like, you're crazy. She was like, I mean, that's my advice to you, but okay, do what you want. So like I would come in, I would like work for 6 hours only, and I'd be so frustrated. Like, I don't know why I'm not getting any sales. Why is nobody picking up my call? Nobody's responding to my text messages, but I'm working from 11 to 4. So like that was my problem. I would like go to the gym in the morning, then get home in time for dinner, and like my priorities were not straight. So then I had to like literally take a step back. Like I have not gone to the gym in a while, but I also just had my biggest month, the same month that I didn't go to the gym, because I had to make some sacrifices to see the output that I wanted to have. So like I made sure that I stuck to like a good schedule in terms of getting enough sleep, but also waking up on time to come to work, not on time to go do what I wanted to do. Because going to the gym is like, it's a pleasure, like it's luxury. Like I want to make sure that I like deserve to go to the gym because I'm doing what I need to here at the office.
Right. And that's key. And just to clarify, guys, I think going to the gym is very important. She's not saying not go to the gym. I think that's optimal for health, first and foremost. But I also think too, when we talked about it, and this is something I struggled with, and same thing with Kaya, is like sleep. If you don't get to bed on time, then you're not going to wake up on time. Because I do think you definitely 100% can get up early and work out, move around. You don't have to run like 5 miles, just move around. Do some burpees, do some push-ups. There's a lot of home workouts that you could do in the morning and then get to the office on time. Also sticking to a schedule. So like, obviously don't ditch the gym completely. I do think it's really important. But she probably used to go every day, 2 a-days, hang out with her gym friends, hang out and just do whatever leisurely. But she's like, dude, I have to make a sacrifice because I have to get to where I need to go. And it's always gonna, and Digna said this last week, shout out Digna, I wrote this down, but it's like, if you want growth, your calendar is going to change and your bank account's going to change, right? Time and money is going to need to be invested into growth. That's huge. That means everything. You can't just be doing the same things, expecting the different results. That's insanity, right? Isn't that like one of the sayings? So anyways, but thank you for sharing that. And then Kaya, any other habits, daily routines that you would want to share that to help, other new people who might be in your same position?
Yeah, honestly, my worst thing is sleep. I am terrible at sleeping on time. I'm terrible at waking up. It's so embarrassing, but I'm going to be completely honest. I can set 10 alarms in the morning and I think my mom's on this call. She can attest to that too. I will set alarms from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. and I will not hear a single one of them. And I don't know what it is, probably because I'm sleeping so late. And I've tried everything. I've tried to get melatonin. I've tried to drink tea before bed. I am not on my phone, for all of you who are thinking I probably am. I drink water before bed. There's seriously something wrong with me, but I've noticed that my sleep has to be my biggest priority. So I thought that, I could go out at night and then come home by maybe 9 and then try to go to sleep. But I know myself now and I have to be in bed and trying to settle for bed before I can actually fall asleep. So I've had to make sacrifices. My friends all call me grandmas now. I'm only 22. They hate that I don't want to go out at night, even when it's 8 or 9, because I know myself now. So I've definitely been prioritizing my sleep and saying no to going out and doing things now if I have work the next day. And I know this sounds really silly, but the thing that gets my day started is coffee. So every morning I have to make sure I have time for coffee because I know that if I don't, then my whole day is going to go bad. So I know it sounds crazy to prioritize my coffee in my morning, but I think that's the one thing that really just gets my head right. Sometimes I think there was someone that said sometimes it's not about buying the coffee, it's the journey getting there. So I live by that now.
I love that. Holy crap, that's really good. And I guess kind of like going into some of the challenges you faced as a new agent and like how have you overcame them? And it could be anything. I know we've already talked on a few things like schedule and transitioning out of like your other job, but any other challenges that you as a new agent you faced and you overcame, and this is something that you could give tangibly to other new agents.
I am still working on it. I think my biggest thing is being a new agent and also being the age that I am right now. It was really hard for me to grasp that I am the professional. They talk about it on every call I'm ever on, and it's really important to have that mindset. We specialize in mortgage protection, and that's what we mainly run. So I get a lot of 40 to 50-year-olds who try to tell me to do how to do my job. And honestly, in the beginning, I let them. I let them toss me around. I was their quote girl. And honestly, they wasted my time. I wasted theirs. And I wasn't understanding why I wasn't making any sales. And it was because I wasn't doing my job correctly. So I've been a lot better at telling people this is how I'm supposed to do my job. And if you can't let me, then I'll just go to the next lead. So I really and Desi sends a lot of podcasts too. And I really think the only way that got me to realize that I am the professional is by learning more. Because I truly believe that knowledge, and I think Cece wants to touch on this too, but knowledge really is confidence. And so the more that I started to watch podcasts, whether that just be about FFL videos or learning different things about estates, when people tell me they have to talk to their estate attorneys or they want to talk to their lender, they can tell me all that they want, but I'm the mortgage protection specialist. And that's something that I'm still currently working on. But I need to do a better job of that too.
That's huge. And Cece, if you want to touch on that too, let's talk about how knowledge is confidence, because you do have a story to tell. So real backstory, guys, we are in sales and a lot of us are on Zoom. We call that our virtual office. So for me, for anybody that's on our team, I'm saying, hey, you're in a different state, I'm in this state, but I don't even care if you're in my local office, you got to be on Zoom. I won't hear you. And I just want to help you. If I hear something, maybe it's your tone, maybe it's something you said and you could describe something to me, but if I don't hear it, I won't really know. So like one of my big rules is like you have to be on in our virtual office with your camera on and you have to unmute, right? And I say this a lot to people. It's not like you walking into the office with a paper bag over your head and tape on your mouth. Like that's crazy, right? So you have to get used to being on Zoom. And for whatever reason, Cece, when she was brand new, it was very hard for her to unmute when she had a client on the phone. And I think that's very normal. I think I was also that way. But Cece, if you want to talk on like when did you like switch on seeing like how important that was for your growth?
Yeah, I was on Zoom. I just could not unmute for the life of me. I would literally shake like right before unmuting, like if I had a client on. And
I would be right beside her. We share an office together and she'll be on a presentation. I'll be like, Cece, unmute, unmute. And she'll just look at me and then continue on with the presentation. I think we would have to physically unmute the Zoom for her to get on there.
Yeah, and I would just mute myself right away. But I would like speak to clients and like not make a sale and I wouldn't be unmuted. And there's like 20 people on Inspire Dials who are there to help me, but I'm not giving them the chance to help me. And then I'm sitting here thinking like, why I set the script, I read the script, I did it right. But it's like Desiree is going to hear what I say completely different than how I actually say it. And she's going to hear like, okay, you sound like you're demanding them when you should be concerned or curious. But like in my head, I'm thinking, no, I asked a question, but I'm so anxious and so like shy and uncomfortable. But like the second like that I started watching videos, like the Desiree's mortgage protection training on YouTube, or like whatever FFL, like Grady Polson's FFL on his YouTube. I watched all those trainings. They're just podcasts about motivation. Like I actually thought there was something wrong with me. So I looked up a podcast like, why can't I unmute? Why do I have so much anxiety? Do I have stage fright? What's wrong with me? What can I do? And like they would give me these tips, and they're like, you just like, the one that I took away from is like, you're just not comfortable in what you're doing. And I was like, no, I am. Like my sister's like pretty important. I am pretty comfortable. And like I was like, no, the script in front of me doesn't matter. Like if I can say the script when I don't have it in hand, that's when I'm comfortable. If I can say these rebuttals like the back of my hand, that's when I'm uncomfortable. And like I thought I was the only one. Like I seriously thought there's something wrong with me. But I think on one of Marissa's calls, like one of the team calls, she was speaking and she was saying how she went to a lock-in and how Marissa herself didn't want to dial, but somebody sat there, gave her a phone and gave her a script and said, call this person and say this. And she even said like she was scared. And I was like, oh, Marissa was scared to dial? Like, it's not just me. And I was like, and Marissa's Marissa. Like, wow, I can like, if Marissa's scared and I was scared and now she's like, Marissa, I can get to that point. So I was like, no, I need to unmute. And so I started watching like podcasts, like how to get over anxiety, how to unmute, get over stage fright. And I don't know if Nicole is on here, but Nicole she really keeps me on my toes, and she'll text me, she'll call me and she's like, hey, I see your lips moving, but you're not muted. So can you unmute? And I'd be like, yeah, Nicole, I got you. And I wouldn't. And then she would ask me to unmute a bunch of times. She would blow up my phone and she would really keep me accountable. So I really appreciate Nicole for doing that. And as well as Desiree. But yeah, they pushed me until I was against the wall and I had to unmute, and here I am speaking on the call, unmuted.
Cool. So knowledge is confidence is what you're saying. So
yeah, knowledge is confidence.
So you felt like the reason why you weren't unmuting is because you didn't feel confident in the script.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then so you just went and studied it more and you felt more confident. You're like, hey, I got to get better. So I know I need to unmute. So other people who've heard the script over and over could hear the things that I'm missing. And then shortly after, you made like several sales. This is your biggest month so far.
I completely saw a difference in my numbers. Like I went from like, oh, I sold 3 policies a month, like big deal, like to like, oh my gosh, Desi, I hit 10K. Oh my gosh, Desi, I hit 13K. I can get my raise. Like I was doing better numbers. And it's because Desiree's there, like giving me advice. Marissa's on Zoom giving me advice. Nicole, Alicia, like Ileana's on, like everybody's on Zoom there to help me. And like I didn't give them the chance before. So I was the reason I was holding myself back because I couldn't unmute. But the moment that I started listening to podcasts, watching videos on mortgage protection, reading the script while I'm like, or memorizing it while I'm driving, saying it aloud while I'm driving, like, and starting to actually feel comfortable and like have that like conviction of what we're doing, then my whole like confidence changed. Like I started talking to them, like I was mentioning earlier, like you're the financial professional, and like everything changed for me once I became more knowledgeable on mortgage protection, on life insurance, on all of this stuff.
Right. And what's really crazy, guys, is that we have a license, like our license allows us to make more than doctors, but we don't have to go to school for 8 years and be 6+ figures in debt and all these clinical hours you need to face. I was talking to like an esthetician and she was saying she needed like 600 clinical hours before she touched somebody's face, which is crazy because guess what? It's a 20-hour course. And it's 100 questions, multiple choice. And you just need a 70% to pass, and you could fail multiple times and still try again and again. It's like $35 in Washington State to take your exam. So the thing is, when you get here, we don't expect you to know everything. You will learn on the job, but you have to be willing to learn, willing to eat crap, willing to get critiqued in front of other people. That's just part of it. So again, every single day you're soaking things in like a sponge, and that's normal. It's normal to feel shy. It's normal to not want to unmute, but I'm telling you, the faster you do that, the faster you will make money to reach your goals. But I know everybody on this call, they're ready to get uncomfortable. There's no reason why you'd be on this call spending an hour with us today if you're not willing to learn. So I know everybody here, they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to do that. Like I see where I'm falling short. Just be aware of where you're falling short and talk to other people, like reach up where the people are, like where your goals are, ask them for advice. Hey, what am I doing? But be ready to receive it. There was a moment in time where Cece and I was like not wanting to hire my family real quick. And I'm going to be really honest with you guys. I was like, I don't know. It's going to be a lot of family conflict. I was like, oh man, because my sister could be a little emotional sometimes. And I was just like, nope, like, we're not doing this. And like, can you just share a story? Let's be a little vulnerable for a minute, but like where you and I were butting heads and you felt like that I just wasn't there for you. If you have anything in particular where I think we didn't talk one day because I was just like, dude, you're not unmuting. Like, I'm not going to help you. I think I told you straight up, you're like, ask me for help. I said, well, it wasn't on Zoom. I'm not helping you. And that's just how I am, because I need to give my time to the people who are showing up. And I want people to know I don't favorite like my family. I'm actually a lot harder on my family. I'm more tough on them because I'm like, there are other people involved who aren't in this family, and I'm going to show people, I'm going to match their effort. So if you're falling short, sorry, you got to figure it out. Like, that's how I train, and I'm okay with it. And they're okay with it too.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes people think when family works together, there's like favoritism. And I can definitely promise all of you, it was the exact opposite. We thought Desi hated us, but she was a lot harder on us. She said some mean things. We would call each other every day after work, and we took it to heart. But I think the longer we got in here, we realized that Desi was really just pushing us to be as successful as we could be. Desi hates when people don't stay true to their word and they don't stick to a schedule. As you guys all know, my sleep is really bad. There are days where I come in late. And for me, a win is a win. If I show up at 11, at least I force myself to go in. I'll show up at 11. Desi will not look at me. Sometimes she just doesn't talk to me, and it's just because she wants me to do better. So every time I go to bed, I'm like, I got to be on time. I got to be there for myself. And so I can have a conversation with Desi.
Yeah. And Kai, let's talk about that really quick, because you had a specific period where you dialed, I think, 8+ hours. You were new. You made 0 sales. Can you talk on that? And then like what happened when you did show up consistently, when you didn't get the immediate result? What did that look like?
Yes, I think there was a good month that I did not sell anything. And I had saved up a little bit money from when I was working at the coffee shop, and it was all depleting. And I was here, I believe, I was here every day, and I was dialing every single day. I wasn't making any sales. And I remember I was speaking to my mom, and I thought that I had to go back to my job. And I was super scared. I thought I was going to have to go DoorDash or Uber. And I was terrified that I was going to have to go back to a job that I just left because I wasn't making it work. But I just kept showing up every single day, and I just kept, I believe in God, and I'm very strong in my faith. So I just kept praying every single night, and I was watching videos. I was learning more. I was showing up. I was asking advice. I was making sure to unmute so I could see where I was going wrong. And I showed up every single day for that month. And then the next month and every month after, I've been consistently producing at least 10K.
Right. And honestly, you guys are only in first gear. There's a lot of things that we got to work on, but I'm super proud that you're here because I've seen your mindset change tremendously. Like, even though in that month you didn't make any money, I've seen like a completely different person. And that's why I love sales and I love being a business owner and an entrepreneur, because not only is your bank account growing or changing, but like you start to change. You start having different standards for yourself, right? Share a little bit about you. You had a conversation with me. You said, hey, Des, one of my friends reached out to me and she was kind of upset that I'm not spending time with her. Can you talk a little bit about that? Of like where, with relationships changing, right? If you don't set that boundary or that standard.
Yeah, in the beginning, I was listening to a lot of top producers speak and saying like they lost relationships or they're not the same as they used to be. And I thought there's no way I'm going to let that happen. I don't see how it's hard to, work and, go out with your friends, but I wasn't realistic. I didn't know, and I wasn't sure about what it took to be an actual business owner. And so I actually did have a friend reach out, and she was basically telling me that she felt like I didn't spend a lot of time with her, which is really hard because I have my family, I have work, and then I have my boyfriend and his family. And so I felt like everyone was pulling at me, and I also had to take care of my mental health too. So I'd actually asked Desi for advice, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And she told me like, you have to like make sacrifices, and the people who really do care about you and the people who want to support you, they'll understand that you're not going to make it out every Friday, Saturday night. You're not going to be at every event, but they know that when you are there, how much you love and you care for them. So that was definitely a conversation that I had to have with my friend, and she does support me, but it was something that I had to be like honest, because I was just hiding behind. I was like, oh, I'll make it out next one. I'll make it out to the next one. And then at that point, I was sacrificing my sleep and what I needed for myself. So I think that was something that really big I had to go through.
And one thing I heard recently, and I would write this down if I was, everybody that's listening on this call, but if you lose someone from like people you lose from honesty aren't worth keeping. like in my boat. Like our intentions are like, hey, I'm trying to grow my business. I'm trying to spend more time. Like I'm trying to like develop myself more. And if someone's like, hey, like I don't like what you're doing, then like, okay. For me, I'm like, okay, cool, cut off. Like, am I like, or let's like, no, maybe not completely cut off, but like, let me just put you right there for now. And I know the true people are always going to kind of be there. So thanks for sharing that, Kaya. Now I know we have just like
quote one more time.
yes,
Quote.
it is people you lose from honesty aren't worth keeping. Oh, sorry. Thanks, Caroline. There you go. Cool. So that's write that down. I have a few things like, and a quick tip, like I have like a notebook where I write all like my favorite quotes down and then like put it in your notes and just continue to add, everything that I'm saying, I've probably like regurgitated from somebody else from another training. So I think that's super key. Now I know we have just like 13 minutes left. So for people who want to hear a little bit of some sales tips, put like an S in the chat, and then we're going to kind of dive into a few things and we might have some time for Q&A. Now, Cece and Kaya, like I said, they're not producing 30, 40, 50K yet. They sure will, right? There's some things that we need to change. Like there's a lot of things we do need to change, but I've seen like huge growth in them for the short period that they have been working. Because I promise you, these girls aren't even working 40 plus hours a week. Like in my opinion, they're probably just a fraction of that. So for them to like reach this level, just from like the tips that they're giving you right now, I do think that does say a little bit. So there we go. Some S's in the chat. Okay, cool. So Kaya, if you want to see, like maybe some sales tips, I know we're going to talk about the AAA method, and just for people to know, and maybe you've heard this before, but when you are dialing, right, in your intro, like if you're doing final expense, mortgage, IULs, people will throw the top 3 common objections, right? Like, I don't remember, I don't know what the hell you're talking about. I'm not interested, or I got it taken care of. Those are like the top 3, and they're packaged in all different ways. So what our method is, and Kaya's going to kind of touch on this, is we say the AAA, right? So this is when you're dialing and you're going to get thrown all these curveballs, and this is how you should respond.
Yeah, so the AAA, that is something that Desi instilled in our brains the minute we started. So it's agree, ask, and attack. I think on a lot of calls that we're on where top producers are speaking, they always say you want to meet the client where they're at. If you come on too strong, they're going to hang up on you. You don't want to fight with them. You want to be on their side and you want to make them comfortable. So everything I respond to now is agree, ask, attack. If someone tells me, oh, I don't remember what this is, I always say, hey, no problem, John. It was a little while ago. A little while ago, it looks like some documents were completed to protect the mortgage. And then you just go back to the strip. It looks like your address here is 123 Main Street. Is that still correct? So you always want to make sure that you agree with them. It's no problem. Sounds good, or whatever it is. Perfect. Yeah.
Right. And then attack just simply means go back to the script. So agree is like using a neutralizer word. If someone says, what the hell are you talking about? And I said, this is what I'm talking about, John, they're going to hang up, right? Their walls are up. But if someone's like, I don't know what the heck you're talking about. And I'm like, hey, John, no problem. Like, so words like no problem. Perfect. Absolutely. Hey, I completely understand. Like that's a agree, right? It's a neutralizer word. And now the client could like calm down a little bit, right? There are sometimes if clients yell at me, I want to yell back, but that's not going to help me, right? So that's what it means by agree. And when we say ask, the person who asks the most questions wins, right? If your client starts saying, who are you with? Why are you calling me? How did you get my information? Guess what? They're winning. Now you have to answer their question. But if we frame our response with agree, hey, no problem, John, this was a little while ago. And then we ask a question. It looks like we have you at 123 Main Street. Is that your address? They are now, ready to answer that question, and you are now in control of the conversation. And attack just simply means you better know your script so well, you know how to go back to the script. That's all it means. Agree, ask, attack. Agree, ask, attack. Remember, the person who asks the most questions wins. Don't ever give them enough to like ask questions. Now, if they are asking questions about benefits, yes, that's fair. But I'm talking about in the intro, in the first 30 seconds, you need to be like ready and fired at and know how to navigate the script. That's why we say, memorize the freaking script really well. Like you're about to perform on freaking Broadway. Guys, we have the cheat sheet in front of us right now. Like the least you can do is freaking know it, right? So that's what agree, ask, attack. Anything else from that's helped you, Kaya, or you feel really solid about that? And then we could pivot to Cece.
Yeah.
Good. So Cece, any sales tips that you've learned that's really helped you that you could, let other new agents know?
As a new agent, I would say like definitely attend the trainings, like attend any trainings. If you're on Slack, like they send out reminders all the time. Like I go to Desi's Momentum Mondays. Sometimes Nicole has things Monday night. Like if whatever Marissa hosts or the SRS calls, the team building calls, everything like that. If it's on Slack and I'm available and I don't have an appointment with the client, like I'm going to be there. because you want to attend these trainings. Like I said earlier, knowledge is confidence. Like the more you know, the more confident you're going to be when you read the script, when you talk to a client, the more easier it's going to be to agree, ask, and attack, right? You're not going to flip your script and, oh, I have to go back here. No, you're going to know exactly what you're talking about because, oh, it was just on Grady Polson's call. Oh, Marissa just talked about this. Oh, Alicia just helped me with this. Like you want to attend those trainings and you want to listen to, Desi tells me this all the time, like talk to the top producers. Like go ask somebody who's on the board. Like you don't want to ask somebody who's doing less than you, right? You want to go get advice from somebody who's on the board. Seek their, like pick their brain. Like she's telling us to go annoy Digna at the sales conference, and I'm gonna annoy Digna at the sales conference because she's producing so much. She's building a team. I want to build a team. I'm gonna go where somebody's doing like their efforts all in it. I'm gonna go there. So go attend the trainings, like pick your mentor's brain, pick anybody else's brain who's at the sales conference. Like everybody in this business, they're so willing to help. Everybody's so selfless. Like they just want to see the person next to them win, and like I feel like just go attend the trainings, pick people's brain, make connections, network.
Yeah, and I
Right.
think he always tells us too, every time we get on trainings, there's nothing that you can't learn. You're always going to learn something. I believe it was on maybe Marissa's call one time, and they said, even if you don't want to be on the calls, just show up on the calls and at least pretend like you have something to learn, because you're going to learn something. Even if you think that you won't, you will.
Yeah. You're right. That's huge. And then again, knowledge is potential power, right? You can keep going to all these freaking trainings, but if you're not dialing the phone, if you're not like buying leads, you're not going to make money. So remember, knowledge is potential power. Write that down. Power, the real power lies within execution. And it doesn't have to be perfect action. I heard this on another training call. Like you want massive imperfect action. As a new agent, that's the fastest way you're going to learn. I don't care if you're not perfect in the script. Let's get perfect. Like let's get slapped on the face on the phones. Let's navigate. Hey, buy some age leads. Like I don't want a new agent to spend $50 on one lead per se. I want them to get hit in the face and slapped around. Like how are you going to handle if someone says I got it taken care of? Like what are you going to say? What are you going to do? I'd rather like really drill that in with a new agent so then they're prepared to talk to a client, right? So again, that's huge. Knowledge is potential power. And consistency gets you further than perfection. Exactly, Caroline. So next thing, I would say, because we're kind of getting close to the end here. And so if anyone else does have like maybe any questions, you could drop in the chat. But the last thing I would ask for you guys is what advice would you give to someone who is just starting out? Particularly if they're feeling overwhelmed or unsure or just like anything that's really helped you. What advice do you have for new people, seasoned people, whatever it is?
Yeah. So I would say like for somebody who's feeling overwhelmed, like as a new agent, is like for me, like Desi would say, like hit a monthly goal of 15K if you're a full-time producer, right? Or I would always be like, oh, I want to hit 100K. Like Desi has awards behind her head, like she's hitting 200K. But I would say her and it's January and I'm like, oh, a year, like that's so far. Like doing 200K in a year is a lot. So like Desi mentions this, like reverse engineer your goals, right? So I'm going to break down my yearly goal into like a monthly goal, break that down into a weekly goal, break that down into a daily goal. So I want to make my daily goals something that I can achieve because, and when you look at it that way, 200K isn't that hard in a year. Because then you just divide that by 12, divide the 12 by the 4 weeks in the month, and then you get your goal for a week, and then you can divide that by the day. Like you can just set yourself with smaller goals. That way it'll help you obtain your like longer goal. So that's the only thing I would say to somebody who's feeling overwhelmed is just break it down. Like break down your goals. You can achieve these smaller ones and it's going to help you get to where you want to be.
Yeah, I think it's really big. I was honestly going to say the same thing, to set goals and to plan what you want for yourself. Because if you don't set your goals, then you're just going to be running around and not knowing where you're headed. Before we even started here, Desi actually sat both of us down and she brought out her big whiteboard and she asked each of us what our short-term goals were, what our long-term goals were. And then she even made us print out a picture of like the car that we wanted. And she made us put it on our desk or on our makeup vanity or whatever. And she said, I want you guys to look at it every day, because when you feel like you don't want to be here or you want to quit, this is what you're reaching towards. So I really think it's huge to have your why and to really dig deep. There's actually a video that Desi loves called 7 Levels Deep, Des.
Yeah. I'll see.
Yeah, that's a really good
try
one.
and pull it up really quick and I'll drop it in the chat. That's huge. So thanks for speaking on that, Kaya. And it's like, there's
pictures of our family, like
show them really quick. You could show them.
Oh, goodness.
Let me go find this video for you guys.
We like hang the pictures up there. and there's more on the other side. But
So we
it's,
like look at it every time we walk into the
yeah,
office.
like our parents, our boyfriend, like our nieces and nephews, we look at that and
A
it like
lot of
helps us.
nieces and nephews.
We have
a
9
lot.
nieces and nephews. Yeah.
By the way. Okay, I'm actually going to drop this. I think, and someone else has shared this with us from another call. And again, I just rip and duplicate. That's all I kind of do. Everything that I'm saying is not from me, myself. Click that video, watch it. I don't know. I don't care if you watch it in 1.25 speed. I know some people just like to listen to it fast, but this video changed my perspective tremendously. So take a look at that. Go home if you don't have a why. Everyone's like, oh, a why? No, like dig deep. Like, what really is it? Is it a short-term goal? Like Kaya wants to get a new car. That's a short-term goal. And then maybe her long-term goal might be retiring her mom. Who knows? And I don't know if I'm just like throwing that out there. Maybe she wants to buy her mom a house. Like all of this is possible within this industry, right? And so like, and another thing too, and I've said this a lot of times, but this is probably one of my favorite sayings, is that if you argue for your limitations, you get to keep them. So if you're going to say, oh, I can't do that, like, oh, 200K is too hard, then okay, cool. Then that's what you're thinking. Like, you can't have that closed-minded. You have to be open-minded because it's all possible here. And the fastest way to get there too, go, I challenge you. Go to an event, a physical event, look at all the other people, ordinary people on stage talking, right? I'm not anything special. People are on stage talking. And you're gonna be like, dude, if that guy could do it, I could freaking do it. Like, I could get my mom a house. Like, I could get myself that new car. I could do this. I could do that. I promise you. I challenge you. Get to a freaking event. And then if anything, if you're like, I want to quit this industry, fine, go ahead. But I promise you, you'll get there and you're gonna be like, dude, I could do everything that they're telling me that I could do. We give you the blueprint. Everything's free. And so anyways, I'm really, really stoked. And I know these ladies are in first gear. Like this is like barely anything in the freaking tank. And we're going to challenge them next month. They better double, triple, or even the month after that. When you see us at the physical event, give me a hug, give me a shout out, give me a high five, whatever it is. And I want to see if there's anything else that you've learned from the 7 levels deep video. Anyways, you guys have my number. You can find me on Slack. You can find me on Instagram. Let us know if you need anything. And I'm always willing to help anyone. Please enjoy the rest of your night. It really means a lot that you stayed this long on the freaking call. Thank you for hearing everybody out, and let's freaking crush it. Let's grow. I'll see everybody soon. I appreciate everybody's time.